back to the Guillermo Moreno Show on the Valley's new talk leader, Talk Radio 1680 KGED.
Showing children in a Philadelphia Islamic center chanting and vowing to chop off heads and sacrifice their lives in the name of Allah.
شهداؤنا وهبوا الحياة رخيصة فازوا بجنات من الرضوان فاحت عصور المسك من أجسادهم أوها تكون القدس عاصمة.
Well, you've seen that video now for sure. I have on the line Tony Gurley. He is the vice president of Radical Truth, and you can visit and see more and hear more about him on radicaltruth.net. Tony.
Guillermo, it's great to be with you.
It's great to be with you, too. Now I must say, you made quite the impression when you came and spoke in the Central Valley. And, my mom, she told me, she said, look, this guy is the expert. You got to have him on. He knows everything. So are you ready? Because I'm going to ask you, man, I stayed up late last night. I thought about what are the 10 hardest questions that I could ask Tony.
Expert's definitely a relative term, but I appreciate the feedback.
Hey, I just kind of want to get to, what's hot in the news right now. And by hot, I mean, it's, a lot of people are talking about it. I'm sure you've seen that video coming out of Mass Philly with the children, chanting, some pretty not good things.
Yeah, the interesting part is that the reason why this enraged so many people is because it has become known here in America. But the thing is that this type of video, this type of event, etc., is a common occurrence in other countries throughout the world. If you're living in a country under Sharia, this is like an everyday type event. I mean, there's TV shows on television that have this type of stuff on there, like Disney-looking type shows where kids are saying this exact same thing. It's only because it was brought to the light here in America that people made a fuss about it. And I'm not sure if you saw it, Guillermo, but this event was in Philadelphia.
Yes.
And if people can go to Memory's website, that's MEMRI, or you can go to the Memory YouTube channel, because this is a thing that they do. They will get videos from the Middle East and just any country, even America, of course, as you can see, and they will translate it from the spoken language, or Arabic, Farsi, whatever it happens to be, into English in order to educate Americans about what is being said in other languages. So they're just exposing what's happening in America and throughout the world.
Oh, wow. Hey, let me ask you, I think everybody is, it's a touchy subject because, a lot of Muslims say, look, that's not us. That's not us. That is, they're extremists. We're totally separate. It's almost as we abide by our own Quran. They got some kind of other version of the Quran. That's not us. Why do you think more Muslims don't come out and literally say that's not us? Because it's very few. It's almost as if everybody is complicit in this.
Yeah, part of there's multiple reasons why. One of the reasons why is because if a Muslim comes out and criticizes other Muslims, they will many times be seen as infidel by other Muslims. It's just like when Muslims came out and said, oh, ISIS, they're not Islamic. Well, ISIS is very Islamic. If you look at the primary sources of Islam, the Quran, the Hadith, the things that Muhammad said, the Sirah literature, which are the biographies of Muhammad, it lines right up with what ISIS is doing. I mean, if Muhammad were alive today, he wouldn't just join ISIS, he would lead it. Oh. So if ISIS is the group who lines up with the life of Muhammad, the supposed perfect man and perfect Muslim of all time, then any moderate Muslims, even here in America, they are very hesitant to speak out. And if they do speak out, then they are actually called names as well, like Zuhdi Jasser, and there's other people here in America who say, I am a Muslim, but then they will actually criticize Islam, saying that we have a lot of bad history, we have a lot of people out there who take the religion maybe too seriously, or they take it literally, and there's a problem. And they are considered Islamophobes by CAIR, the Council on American Islamic Relations, who's hard at work here in America and have infiltrated Islamic centers and mosques throughout America and influenced them. This is the thing, that in America, they're trying to Islamize America or make Islam palatable to the West. So if you're not under Sharia, they are going to call you names to hopefully shut you up. And sometimes the people who are called Islamophobes are the people who maybe know too much or more than they're supposed to know about Islam. Because it's one thing to call someone an Islamophobe if they've never studied the religion and they just have an irrational fear of all Muslims and they hate all Muslims. But if someone actually studies Islam, they read the Quran, they read the Hadith, they read the Sirah literature, they read the Taqi, they read all these different sources, and they know what it teaches, then it doesn't make sense to call them an Islamophobe because they just know what they're talking about.
That makes perfect sense. And you kind of alluded to it there. They're trying to make it more, enticing, I guess, to the West, right? So should we fear what we see in London and some of these areas that are no-go zones? And we have some of these in the United States, right, where police officers just won't go into these communities. Are we, I think a lot of us say, it's never going to happen in America. It's not going to happen. And from what I'm finding out, especially doing shows on some of these topics, that, hey, listen, there's some parts in Michigan and there's some parts of Philadelphia you just don't go.
Well, to think about the no-go zones in Europe and to equate those with any place in America is kind of stretching it, because the picture that you have on your screen there with me next to in front of a mosque, that is actually one of the biggest mosques in America. That's actually in Dearborn, Michigan. And I have friends in Dearborn who've lived there for 2 decades. They actually do door-to-door evangelism in Dearborn. They actually go to the campuses and open-air preach and share the gospel with people. They do a lot of things, and that couldn't actually happen under a official no-go zone. So there's no place in America where it's like Europe. However, Europe is maybe 10 to 15 years ahead of us on the route that we're going. And if people think that America can never become Islamized, then they have some studying to do. You can actually go to my Vimeo channel. That is vimeo.com. It's just a kind of YouTube competitor. There's over 400 videos on my channel, and one of the shows is called The Islamization of the United Kingdom. This is a show that I did with Tommy Robinson, who has actually become more popular here in America. But this show we did probably 2.5 years ago. I mean, in Europe today, there's over, just in Britain alone, there's over 80 Sharia courts. What? That's in Britain, okay?
Wow.
We can either learn from Europe's mistakes or we're going to follow in their footsteps, one of the two.
Explain what that is for everyone.
Which part?
Their own, what'd you say, their own courts? Essentially, their own...
Oh, sure. They're Sharia courts. They abide by Islamic law when it comes to family law, marriage, divorce, etc. They have these courts in Europe. Just in Britain alone, there's over 80 Sharia courts. There are actual no-go zones in Europe where, yes, you don't want to go in there if you're a non-Muslim, and the police don't go in there unless there's multiple police. But I don't think there's any place here in America that is like that at this point. And like I said, I have friends in Dearborn, so anyone who says Christians are not allowed to go into Dearborn are mistaken.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good news, right? I guess for now. Hey, before I hit a hard break, I'm not going to give you enough time to answer this question. A Vice video came out, Vice, talking about Islam in Spanish, and they're saying that one of the fastest groups that are converting to Islam are in fact Latinos. What's your thought on that? Because I'll tell you the truth, as a Christian Latino, I'm like, well, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. I can see that.
They are reaching out to every minority group, quote unquote, of any type. It doesn't matter if it's a race-based minority group, a religious-based minority group, even LGBTQ, etc. They reach out to everybody. And when I say they, I'm referring to the Islamists or the Muslim Brotherhood front groups in America, CAIR of which is just one of them, Muslim Student Association, another one of them. They have a blackness in Islam tactic where they try to reach out to African Americans, and they will tell them, hey, this is the religion of your ancestors, this is the true religion, etc. They reach out to African Americans. They reach out to Latinos. They reach out to every minority group in order to get them on their side. That's the ultimate goal, to where all these different minorities become the majority. However, they're only going to work with them as long as they see fit or they feel a need to work with them.
Makes sense.
Once they get the upper hand, they will have no need for these different minority groups, and they will
True.
no longer have a need for even the leftists or the left political groups who they're willing to work with either. They're willing to work with every...
I'm sorry, I'm up against a hard break. Tony Gurley, I'll have his info on the other side of the hour. Tony, sorry, we're still live. We're still live on local television station 32.3 and on Facebook Live. Go ahead and finish that thought. We're not on the radio right now, but we're still on television.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, they are working. They're willing to work with any group who's willing to give them room to work. They will work with Republicans, Democrats. They build relationships with religious leaders, spiritual leaders, law enforcement, government officials. They build relationships with everyone because it is their goal to infiltrate the government, use our own laws and liberties against us. And guess what? When we speak out against it, they use our own laws and liberties and political correctness against us as well.
Oh, sure.
Saying, hey, you're an Islamophobe, or they call you some kind of name to try to shut you up. So this is the MO.
Tony, let me ask you this. In researching CARE, especially after the Ilhan Omar, some people did something. I was reading somewhere that they're training 300 Muslims to run for office across the nation.
There are a ton of Muslims running for different offices across the nation. It doesn't matter if it's school board, city, mayor, governor, city council, anything and everything they are running for. And that's the thing, is that, we have the strongest military in the world. If ISIS were to come here and fight us, we would take them out. So what is the best way for them to actually be successful in a takeover from within?
Oh, for sure.
That is to build relationships, make their way up within our own government in order to ultimately change laws that cater to Muslims in particular. And the goal of Islam is to have a whole world under Sharia. They just have to go about it in a different way here in America because we aren't under Sharia right now. We aren't we don't actually live under Islamic law.
Is there now I just want to make sure, is there some kind of Islamic wing that's not under Sharia? Like, is there an Islamic wing that says, no, we're not under Sharia, we believe on the good stuff of Islam, and that's it?
I'm not sure what good stuff means or refers to there. But basically, here's the thing. People can say, Islam, I don't believe this, I don't believe that. If you have a Muslim neighbor, coworker, classmate, etc., who says, hey, I love America, I would never want to live under Sharia, I love it here. Yes, I'm a Muslim, but I love the Constitution, I love the Bill of Rights. Islam is a religion of peace. If they say that, there's actually a good chance they're probably not lying to you. They actually think it's a religion of peace. However, many Muslims don't study the sources themselves. They can quote the Quran, but they don't even know what they're saying. Many Muslims memorize it, but they don't even understand Arabic. They memorize it for the purpose of reciting their daily prayers 5 times a day, which is one of the 5 pillars of Islam that Muslims do if they're a good Muslim, quote unquote. So I label it this way. I don't say radical Islam or bad Islam or anything like that. I just say, what is Islam according to Muhammad? That's all that we need to know. Because if a Muslim actually does what Muhammad said to do, then you're going to have violence. You're going to have a lot of bad stuff. If a Christian really does what Jesus said to do, what are they going to do? I mean, they're going to love their enemies. They're going to pray for those who persecute them. That kind of thing. So you probably get to what I'm saying there.
Makes sense. All right. Hey, Tony, before I let you go, can you please go ahead and give out your Twitter handle where individuals can find out more about your organization?
Yeah, the website is radicaltruth.net. You can find this on Facebook as well. It's Radical Truth. The exact username is, I think, facebook.com/radicaltruth777. However, you can also, like I said, my Vimeo channel, which you showed there, the presentation that your mom saw last week, that is on there for everyone to see and to get the link and share it online, share it through email and everything. And I would also, if you have a few minutes, I'd love to talk about a news story that actually came out in California.
I'll tell you what, can you...
Around the time of this video that you actually brought up tonight.
Yes. Tony, actually, do you mind staying on for my next segment? I didn't know if you were...
Fine.
Okay,
fine.
All right, sounds good. So, yeah, we'll hit back to the radio audience when we come back. Perfect.
Sounds good.
All right. So, just hold on one second. grab some water, and we'll be right back, and then you'll hear the intro music.
This is the Guillermo Moreno Show on Talk Radio 1680 KGED. Now, here is Guillermo Moreno.
He is now investigating what they call an oversight after a shocking video surfaced showing children in a Philadelphia Islamic center chanting and vowing to chop off heads and sacrifice their lives in the name of Allah.
شهداؤنا وهبوا الحياة رخيصة فازوا بجنات من الرضوان فاحت عطور المسك من أجسادهم أو هل تكون القدس عاصمة.
Well, you heard that, you heard it and you saw it, the Facebook post there out of Muslim American Society's Philadelphia chapter. We know they have 42 chapters across the United States. You saw that. The children there were talking about chopping people's heads off, the glory of being a martyr, and of course, you know what that has been referring to. Really happy I have this man here on the line. His name is Tony Gurley, and he is on the line. Tony, you're still there, right? Tony, sorry about that. Yes. I have this magic button over here that calls you in, and you're back with me here. Tony Gurley is the vice president of Radical Truth. We're talking about Islam in the United States, and you know, you described that video. We talked about it in the last hour, but you had said, Guillermo, I got to tell you about something that happened here in California as well, right?
Yes, this actually happened in July of 2017 in Davis, California. If people are unaware, the video that you just showed, this was actually put on the Facebook page on May 28th of 2017. So it's been a while. I mean,
wow.
It was 2 years ago that this actually happened, and just now people are making a fuss about it. Why? Because it's been brought to light. But this actually was recorded in America, and there was no issue about it that was brought up until the majority of Americans, English-speaking Americans, found out about it, right?
Right.
However, in July of 2017, there was an imam in Davis, California, and this made the mainstream media as well because, again, people made a fuss about it, and because his video was also exposed by Memory. And again, Memory TV is on YouTube, a great organization which translates foreign language videos into English people understand. But the imam in Davis, California, the clip is of him giving a sermon in the mosque. And one of the things that he said was the last hour will not take place until the Muslims fight the Jews. And as soon as that came out, people got all mad about it. And that's why it got into the mainstream media. And guess what? The same thing that always happens happened then. And that CARE got involved to all of a sudden, you know, talk the Muslim into caring, quote unquote. And all of a sudden he came out with a public apology saying that he, you know, was very zealous and, you know, his passion got the best of him, kind of thing.
Yeah, it was kind of like the explanation here that MAS had, the Muslim American Society. They said, look, that was an unintended video. You know, we're going to mitigate it. You know, they're going to go sensitivity training. Who, the guy that accidentally let it out, or the kids? What are you talking about?
Guillermo, here's the thing. In my presentation that I created back then, when your mom saw it the other day, that was the brand new 2019 edition, which is even more updated, of course. However, in the 2018 edition, which is also available on my Vimeo channel, I have the video clips, the news video clip of them talking to him, all the stuff that went down, and I actually have a quote from a primary source. And this is Saki al-Buhari, This is the Hadith. This is the things that Muhammad actually said. This is the second highest authority of Islamic source books after the Quran itself. So you have the Quran, which is supposedly the eternal word of Allah, but then you have Sahih al-Bukhari, that's just one of the 6 major collections that Sunni Muslims look to. These are things that Muhammad said. Now, Sahih al-Bukhari, Volume 4, Book 52, Hadith number 177, says this. Muhammad said, the last hour will not be established until you fight with the Jews. And the stone behind which a Jew will be hiding will say, O Muslim, there is a Jew hiding behind me, so kill him.
Wow.
That is a primary Islamic source, something that Muhammad himself said. So, here's the thing that people need to understand. Muhammad, the supposed prophet of Islam, was the founder of Islamic Jew hatred. So every time you see one of these videos online, they're just quoting the supposed prophet of Islam. So how can you fault them for quoting someone who they look to very highly, you know? The thing is that Muslims don't read the sources themselves, and if they do, that's why many Muslims will leave Islam, because they all of a sudden are exposed to what Muhammad's life was actually like and what Islamic expansion was like in the 7th to 10th centuries AD, and they have this cognitive dissonance going on of, well, I don't know what to do now. It's like if I'm a true Muslim, and all the reformers in the past said a true Muslim is one who reads the Quran and follows the Sunnah, the lifestyle example of Muhammad. We have Muslims leaving Islam in droves. But here in America, we have the Islamists who are going about it in a different way. They're not carrying guns, they're wearing suits. And that's why they're considered peaceful compared to the jihadists who make the nightly news. But they have the exact same agenda. Islamists and jihadists both hate Israel and the West. They both want the world under Sharia. It's just that the jihadist groups, like ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, etc., they're very impatient. They want a caliphate yesterday. The Muslim Brotherhood and all of its front groups, one of which is CARE, which is Hamas is the Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. The Islamic Association of Palestine is connected with them, and of course, CARE came of that. They're okay with a 100-year plan. If they can get the world under Sharia in 100 years, they're just fine with that. They're very, very patient. The Muslim Brotherhood began in Egypt in 1928, and they've come a whole long way in just 91 years. But the main thing that we do at Radical Truth is educate people about Islam. We don't sugarcoat it. We tell you like it is. But at the same time, we don't say the goal or the answer to this is to hate Muslims, because Muslims are people made in the image of God. That means they have intrinsic human rights and intrinsic human values. So the solution here, the ultimate solution, is the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ, because a spiritual problem requires a spiritual solution. And the political groups out there who are just focused on political answers to this, a political solution will not last in the long term, because Islam is a religio-political system, a religion and a political ideology combined. But the religion is the base of the system. The politics don't influence the religion influences the politics. And since the base of it is a spiritual issue, the spiritual solution, again, is the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ. Many Muslims are just the gospel away from leaving Islam, but many Muslims have never heard it, and if they have, they don't understand it. Yeah. So, obviously, that's a major issue there.
I'm on your website right here, the radicaltruth.net. So you guys, it says click here if you are a Muslim. So you do outreach, obviously. You're to...
Yeah. I mean, it's myself. I create a lot of the presentations, and I'm a full-time missionary. I do a lot of public speaking. I speak on many non-Islam topics as well. And then my partner, Mike Westerfield, he's actually a former Muslim, now Christian. Wow. And he writes a lot of articles for Radical Truth. And yeah, I mean, we have this combination of not sugarcoating Islam. We actually tell people the truth about it, but at the same time, we love Muslims, and we want to see Muslims come to the knowledge of who Jesus truly is, not the false Isa who's mentioned in the Quran, who Muslims say, oh yeah, we believe in Jesus too, we love Jesus. It's the wrong Jesus. Just like of a misunderstanding of God, they have a misunderstanding of Jesus. So we point them to the truth, we share the gospel with them, we educate churches, we equip churches to reach out to Muslims and share the gospel with them, and we, again, just educate all people about Islam. I mean, even I said the other night when your mom heard my presentation, I said, hey, we have any atheists or skeptics or agnostics here, say, hey, look to what Dr. Richard Dawkins said. Guillermo, Richard Dawkins is known for what?
You got me there.
Criticizing Christianity, criticizing the Bible, right?
Yes.
And he actually came out and said this, and I quote, "I have mixed feelings about the decline of Christianity insofar as Christianity might be a bulwark against something worse." Now, if he's from the UK, he knows about the Islamization of the United Kingdom and much of Europe.
Oh, for sure. Tony Gurley here, Vice President of Radical Truth. Let me ask you this. The Islamic faith is growing very rapidly all around the world. Is it inevitable? I mean, what we're seeing in London is going to happen in the United States. Do you believe that that's true? Or do you think that, somehow in the United States, we're going to be able to insulate ourselves and not become, and I gotta be careful how I say this. I'm not saying overtaken, but, how much time do we have left? And can we, if they're converting, Christians, Catholics, I mean, every sect under Christianity, are we just facing the inevitable?
Well, here's the thing. The Bible, we can read that God has already won. Jesus Christ is on the throne. We know how it ends. And in the meantime, Satan's going to take as many people with him as possible. There are many man-made religions out there. Just one of them happens to be Islam. And there are 1.6 billion Muslims, the largest unreached people group in the world, who need to hear the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ. Europe, in the meantime, has become very Islamized. You're now seeing Canada is moving closer to the UK. They're actually a few steps ahead of us, but we just need to look north to Canada and seeing the Islamization there as well. The thing is that when you hear about Islam being the fastest-growing religion in the world, you need to qualify that, because Islamic theology says that every single person who is born Muslim. That's actual Islamic theology. Wow. And the thing is that if you have immigration from countries where there are millions of Muslims into countries where there aren't, well then, Islam is growing, quote-unquote, simply because of immigration. It's also growing because of birth rates, not because of theology of Islam, but just, if Americans have maybe 2 children on average, well, the average Muslim family usually has 6 to 9 children. So Islam is growing because of the birth rate, in addition to immigration. Now, they say that it's the fastest-growing religion in the world. It's technically the fastest-growing false religion in the world, if anything. But it's really not the case. This is really just a dawah tactic. A dawah tactic is like the article that you saw about many Latinos coming to Islam. Yeah. Yes, there are some, but it's not like, Latinos are taking over, Islam and stuff. It's just another thing to make Islam acceptable in the West and invite people to Islam. This is the stage that we're in. We're still in the invite people to Islam stage. That is where we are at here in America, and most of the West is as well. Now, here's the thing, too. I mean, people may not understand, is that, you think about jihadists and all this violence, and they look to the Middle East. The majority of Muslims in the world are in Asia. Indonesia has more Muslims than any other country in the world. And here's a commercial that was put out by Muslims. It was probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, I would think. I mean, I can find it. This was a commercial actually made by Muslims. And they said that in Indonesia alone, there are 2 million Muslims leaving Islam every single year.
Wow.
Leaving Islam.
That's a lot.
So I don't think that's going to keep up with the Western countries of the misguided or ill-informed or ignorant people who, convert to Islam for whatever reason they choose to. Wow. But there are, a ton of Muslims leaving Islam. And I can tell you right now, a lot of Muslims are just the gospel away from leaving Islam. So the goal, the main thing that Christians need to be doing is sharing the gospel with all people, and all people includes all Muslims. That's what we focus on at radicaltruth.net, and that's what I do myself. I love Muslims. That's why I tell people about Islam, and also that's why I reach out to Muslims and share the gospel with them. If you are a Christian, the most important thing that you could do is know what you believe and why you believe it, because a lot of people don't, including Muslims themselves.
Tony, man, I've learned so much, and man, I'm even like my mom. I'm going to tell everybody about this guy. He knows this stuff. Tony, Thank you, Tony Gurley. He is the vice president of Radical Truth. You can reach him out at radicaltruth.net. He also is available on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. What's your Twitter handle? I don't think we got that.
It is, my personal one is Tony_Gurley, and then same thing on Instagram. I'm not really active on those too much, but follow the Radical Truth because they are very active mainly on Facebook, but they're also active on Twitter and Instagram. I personally got banned on Facebook a while back, so I just don't really use it anymore.
Well, that makes sense because it seems that they're banning a lot of people. You're on Facebook now, so if I'm in Facebook jail, I got you to blame. No, I'm joking.
Just point to Radical Truth and have people go there, like it, follow it, and you'll get all the latest news headlines from around the world that the mainstream media never touches.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tony Gurley. Appreciate your time. When we come back at 6:30, we're going to be having Ruben Navarrete on. He's going to be talking about an event that he's having next week. You're not going to want to miss it here on the Guillermo Moreno Show. Tony, man, thank you so much. Oh, he left already. All right, my bad. Wow, wealth of knowledge. Appreciate Tony on. Thank you so much.